Space whales? Nope, rather deal with devils. Chapter 49, Fan Fiction by Azazyel. Running a Black Friday sale for the next week, November 26th, 25 to December 3rd, 25, with a 40% off first month and yearly subscriptions to my Patreon with this code 3B10. Fucking monsters. Is this guy the reincarnation of Hitler or Josef Mengele or something? I thought with a frown as my conjured ice blades shattered on the flesh abominations that had thickly glowing silver Touki or lifeforce energy surrounding themselves like a flame. Touki was the art of burning your life force to grant yourself an extreme enhancement to your strength, durability, and speed. And these monsters had been crafted into something that could actually use Touki at a damned high level. Loud cracking noises rang out as Mommy's enchanted conjured rifles went off in quick succession, and even though those rounds punched good fist-sized holes into the monsters as they charged over. But those holes all but instantly regenerated with their Touki flaring with more power around them. No other choice then, I thought with some annoyance, and my vision was filled with red lines as I pushed mana to my eyes to activate my mystic eyes of death perception. As I knew, trying to seal those monsters with ice or battering them with water magic would just take entirely too much effort when I could just kill them with my eyes ability. I got the two on the left, I spoke, and Mommy knew I wanted her to just keep the right two of them busy as I dashed forward with my hands filling with Bowie knives made out of hardened magic ice. Mommy's rifles grew in size as she blasted the right two hard enough to push them back and separate them, while Hero screamed as he ducked under an operating table as some of kind as Mommy's shots ricocheted into the back of the building. I ducked and slid under the swipe of one of the monster's long whip-like arms that was covered in spikes of bone and teeth, and as I came out on the other side of the monster, I hopped into the air, and I slashed one of the thin glowing lines across the monster using my mystic eyes of death perception. Abruptly, the lower half of that monster's body went utterly limp, and it fell to the ground with Hero yelling out with anguish. "You bastard! You killed one of the halves of my Gemini project, ah! So these monsters are made out of a human and a yokai being fused together to give it the Touki, I imagine. Yeah, this guy needs to die." I thought with disgust as I skipped to the side as a long whip of spike-covered flesh smashed into where I was shattering the concrete beneath me, but as the whipping arm retracted I concentrated and created a citri glyph that sent a wave of citri ice in the form of spinning saw blades that screeched with their spinning speed as they slammed home into one of the monster's chest and lower end. And my thoughts were thankfully right as the conjured blades of ice did work with my mystic eyes of death perception from a distance, so the monsters were made quick work of. As I used more conjured ice blades to sever the lines of death, I could see in the four monsters. No. They were all but immortal. I even had them kill one of those Yasaka's elite guards. Hero screamed with his eyes bulging out of their sockets as his face pulled back with how wide he opened his mouth to scream as loud as he fucking could, it seemed. I dryly snapped back with a finger going to my ear. Yeah. Was that guard like drunk or something? Hero's face went utterly purple with rage at my words, and as he pointed at me, I dodged to the side as my instinct screamed at me to move. From where I previously was standing, my own shadow had thickened, and from my shadow a blade of what looked like solid darkness attempted to impale me. And it's a good thing I remembered that Hero had the sacred gear, Shadow Edge, which had the ability to create shadow constructs from, well, shadows. It was nominally known as a decent sacred gear. But for one major issue. "Mommy, the lights," I called out, and Mommy snapped her fingers, creating dozens of muskets forming beside her, and with an ear-ringing, exploding noise as all the rifles went off. All the fluorescent lights on the roof were broken. A couple of moments later, the sound of a pig squealing rang out as I quietly ran up to the mass of death lines that I knew was Hero in the utterly dark room, and with zero hesitation, I kicked him in the balls so hard I felt his hips be broken, to say nothing of the much softer bits. Dry heaving, wheezing rang out as I then made Hero go night-night, as I systematically broke his hands and feet, and then with another kick that broke his jaw, he went silent as he was knocked unconscious. Whispers broke out from the surrounding yokai as I heard a child ask their mother who was in the next cage over. "Mama, are they heroes?" But the mother didn't respond as I called out. "Is there anyone that needs medical attention right now?" I threw up some large citri glyphs that formed some light in the large room, and I grimaced, seeing the interior of the cages that these people had certainly been locked up in for more than a couple days. "Everyone, back up from the cage walls, please," I called out loudly as the yokai began screaming to be let out of the cages, knowing their freedom was at hand. I also told Mommy to get a sack over Hiro's head and move out of the building so the yokai didn't kill him out of rightful rage, as I wanted to get paid for this whole troublesome event. After breaking the cages open, I popped my back as I hovered off the ground with another Citri glyph lifting me up as I spoke over the hurried hugs being shared between surviving family members and the wails of those who had finally realized they were free, but had to watch as their family members were butchered and made into fuel or straight up into abominations. I am going to Lady Yasaka to turn the perpetrator to all this in. Please come outside, and Lady Yasaka's men and caretakers can come and try to get you guys on your feet. Just don't do anything stupid, please. I called out as I flew outside of the building with the yokai following me out into the noon sunlight, with them all covering their eyes after not seeing the sun in who knows how long. So with the yokai freed from their cages and myself managing not to get captured by people needing to thank me, and God knows what else happening from that scenario, I quickly made my way over to Mommy, and I grabbed hold of Hiro's neck as a Citri glyph formed beneath us as we were teleported to Kyoto.